Hello students, this is Dr. Deepthi Variku, HOD Department of Physiotherapy, Dolphin PG Institute of Biomedical and Natural Sciences. Continuing with our lecture about PNF, proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation, today we will be dealing about the specific techniques which are involved in PNF. As in our previous classes, we went through about the PNF technique, what it is, how it originated. हमने पता किया कि PNF technique is an approach to therapeutic exercise that combines functionally based diagonal patterns of movement with techniques of neuromuscular facilitation to evoke motor responses and improve neuromuscular control and function. These PNF techniques can be used to develop muscular strength and endurance, facilitate stability, mobility, neuromuscular control, and coordinated movement patterns. They can also lay a foundation for the restoration of function. So, keeping in mind about these goals, let us talk about few important aspects and few important techniques which are used in our PNF patterns. What are the specific techniques we use in PNF that today we are going to discuss. So now we will be discussing about some specific techniques. So first technique what we will be discussing is repeated contractions or repeated stretches. Repeated contractions are dynamic contractions initiated with repeated quick stretches followed by resistance, and these resistances are applied at any point in the range of motion, and this is mainly to strengthen a weak agonist component in a diagonal pattern. So now what we are doing here, we are causing repetition of prerequisite exercises or patterns for learning. So initial stages there will be isotonic contractions, and in the later stages we will have a combination of isotonic and isometric contractions. So what are the basic goals of repeated contractions? First, to facilitate initiation of the movement, then increase the active range of motion, increase the strength of that particular muscle, avoid or decrease fatigue, and decreased proprioception पे भी ये काम करेगा. Okay, now let us see what are the indications when repeated contraction is used. It is mainly used in the cases of weakness, fatigue, or if there is decreased awareness about the motion. There are two basic types in repeated contraction. First is the repeated stretch, which will start from the beginning of the range on which you are acting. Second is the repeated stretch, which will be maintained throughout the range. Now comes the second technique, which is rhythmic initiation. Rhythmic initiation is used to promote the ability to initiate a movement pattern. After the patient voluntarily relaxes, the therapist moves the patient's limb passively through the available range of the desired movement pattern several times so that the patient becomes familiar with the sequence of the movement within the pattern. So it helps the patient to understand the rate at which the movement has to occur. And by practicing this again and again, practicing assisted or active movements, this also helps the patient to learn a particular movement. So as we see, it involves voluntary relaxation, passive movements, and repeated isotonic contraction. We have to make sure these are holded never against pain or any specific resistance. It is contraindicated if the pain is involved in the part. Again and again I am telling you, you can't do this if the pain arises. So what are the goals of rhythmic initiation? First is to aid in initiation of movement, improve the coordination and sense of the motion, normalize the rate of motion. How can you do that? Either increasing or decreasing it. ठीक है? फिर teach the motion to the patient properly, and throughout the movement help the patient to relax. which is very important. Now, when is rhythmic initiation indicated? If there are difficulties in initiating a pattern, if the patient has the movement pattern too slow or too fast, if the movement is uncoordinated or dysrhythmic, or if the patient is in general tension, then to provide relaxation patterns, we could use it. Next is reversal of agonists. Now, reversal of agonists, many functional activities involve quick reversals of the direction of movement. This is evident in diverse activities such as when you chop, or when people dance, or they are playing any game like cricket, grasping or releasing objects. So, the reversal of agonist technique involves stimulation of a weak agonist pattern by first resisting static or dynamic contractions of the agonist patterns. The reversal of a movement pattern are instituted just before the previous pattern has been fully completed. The reversal of agonist technique is based on Sherrington's law of successive induction, which I have already told you in the past class. Now, we have two basic things here. One is the slow reversal and another is slow reversal with hold. First, we'll see slow reversal, which are the dynamic reversals. So, slow reversal involves dynamic concentric contraction of a stronger agonist pattern, immediately followed by dynamic concentric contraction of the weaker antagonist pattern. There is no voluntary relaxation between patterns. This promotes rapid reciprocal action of the agonists and antagonists. So, what are the basic goals for slow reversal? First, it increases the active range of motion, it increases the strength, and develops the coordination. Here you can see how we can perform a slow reversal. This is a photographic representation where the therapist is practicing slow reversal. It also prevents fatigue and increases the endurance. Now, the next technique, before going to the next technique, let us see when this slow reversal is indicated. It is indicated when there is decreased active range of motion, or there is weakness of the agonist muscles, there is excised muscle, the muscle on which you are excising, it begins to fatigue, or there is decreased ability to change the direction of the motion. At that time, you could start it. Next technique is slow reversal with hold. Okay, slow reversal with hold, slow reversal hold. This adds an isometric contraction at the end of the range of the pattern to enhance the end range holding of a weakened muscle. So, isotonic contraction of the antagonist is important. With no period of relaxation, the direction of the movement is then rapidly reversed by the means of dynamic contraction of the agonist muscle group, quickly followed by isometric contraction of those same muscles. Okay, so isotonic contraction of antagonist, then isometric contraction of antagonist, and then isotonic contraction of the agonist. This is one of the several techniques used to enhance dynamic stability, particularly in proximal muscle groups. So, it is very helpful in maintaining the stability. Now, what are the goals? First is to increase stability and balance. Second is to increase muscle strength. Third is to increase coordination between agonists and antagonists. Now, what are the indications? First is decreased stability. If any part you have stability is being compromised, you can practice slow reversal holds. Weakness, and if patient is unable to contract muscle isometrically, then you can use it. Next technique is rhythmic stabilization. Rhythmic stabilization is used as a progression of alternating isometrics and is designed to promote stability through co-contraction of the proximal stabilizing musculature of the trunk as well as the shoulder and pelvic girdle regions of the body. This rhythmic stabilization, if you see, it mainly holds isometric contraction of antagonist, isometric contraction of the agonists. So what we do in it, rhythmic stabilization is typically performed in weight bearing position. to incorporate joint approximation into the procedure, hence further facilitating co-contraction of both the groups. The therapist applies multi-directional rather than the unidirectional resistance. अब यहाँ पर manual contact plays a very important role. Resistance by placing manual contacts on opposite sides of the body and applying resistance simultaneously in opposite directions as the patient holds the selected position. Multiple muscle groups around joints must contract, most importantly the rotators, to hold that particular position. Okay, for example, in a selected position, the patient is told to hold that position as one hand pushes against the posterior aspect of the body, and then the hand simultaneously pushes against the anterior aspect of the body, so the manual contact is shifted on the opposite sides. Here you see, therapist has kept hands on both the sides so that he could change the manual contact on both the sides. These were the basic strengthening principles, strengthening techniques which are used for stabilization and strengthening. Now let us see some of the techniques about relaxation. The first being a contract relax. We have these two techniques, hold relax and contract relax. With the hold relax procedure, the range limiting muscle is first lengthened to the point of limitation or to the extent that is comfortable for the patient. The patient then performs a pre-stretch and range isometric contraction, which is for 5 to 10 seconds. Then, after that, it is followed by voluntary relaxation of the tight muscle. The limb is then passively moved into the new range as the range limiting muscle is elongated. A sequence for using hold relax technique to stretch shortening any muscle. For example, you can use it for pectoralis major muscle bilaterally and increases horizontal abduction. So you have to use it for both any muscle which you need. Okay. So we can use hold relax and contract relax both for lengthening procedures. So let us discuss about the contract relax technique. It is used when no active range of agonist is present. So relaxation of the antagonist is achieved by a contract relax. So we have two basic types: direct contract relax and indirect contract relax. So direct treatment कैसे देंगे? Resisted isotonic contraction of the restricting muscle, that is the antagonist, is given initially, which is followed by relaxation and movement into the new increased range. So you will have a lengthening technique occurring here. What are the goals? To increase the passive range of motion. This is the basic goal. Then indirect treatment, resisted isotonic contraction of the agonist muscle is given. It also increases the passive range of motion. So what are the goals of these contract relax, hold relax? To increase passive range of motion, and it is basically given when the range of motion is decreased. Okay. Next is the hold relax, which I told you initially about the hold relax. There are three types: direct treatment, indirect treatment, and hold relax with a slow reversal. Okay. So direct treatment is when there is resisted isometric contraction of the antagonist muscles followed by relaxation. Okay. It is mainly given to increase passive range of motion and to decrease pain. Indirect treatment technique is when there is resisted isometric contraction of synergistic muscle which is followed by its relaxation. ये भी increase करेगा passive range of motion and decrease pain. Next technique is before going into next technique, the goals are same: increase passive range and decrease the pain. Next technique is the replication. Replication is basically to facilitate motor learning, and the goals are to teach the patient end position of the movement and assess the patient's ability to sustain the concentric contraction of the agonists. So I would also like to tell you about two more techniques here. One is agonist contraction. It is the another PNF stretch technique. It is the agonist contraction procedure. In here, what we do is the agonist is referred to the muscle opposite to the range limiting muscle. Antagonist therefore refers to the range limiting muscle. So, to perform this procedure, the patient concentrically contracts the muscle opposite the range limiting muscle and then holds the end range position for at least several seconds. The movement of the limb is independently controlled by the patient and is deliberate and slow but not ballistic. Okay, by this we can achieve a new length. One more technique which I would like to emphasize here is hold relax with agonist contraction. The hold relax with agonist contraction is a stretching technique which combines the hold relax and agonist contraction procedures. The hold relax agonist contraction technique is also referred to as slow reversal, जिसके बारे में अभी हमने पहले पढ़ा. ठीक है? So to perform these techniques, what we have to do, move the limb to the point that tissue resistance is felt in the tight muscle, then have the patient perform a resisted pre-stretch isometric contraction of the range limiting muscle, followed by relaxation of that muscle and an immediate concentric contraction of the muscle opposite the tight muscle. Okay, so these were the specific patterns and specific techniques what we will be using in the PNF techniques, proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. I will be adding videos about these techniques in your lecture and I would like you all to go through them. If anybody has any doubt, you may ask. I hope it was understanding to you about this lecture. Thank you so much. See you in my next lecture.